Capital One just dropped a bombshell on all travel credit cards. I haven't talked about the Capital One Venture X since it came out because it was very fresh, it was very new, and I was really skeptical about it because there's been a lot of mixed feelings with me and Capital One. I'm a huge supporter of Capital One, but I felt that there was too much missing from the Capital One Venture X card for people to say, oh, it's the best travel credit card out there. I'm like, come on, man. Let's pump our brakes real quick, okay? It just came out on the market. Let's give it a chance to grow and see what happens. Because what happened, kind of like with the Apple credit card. The Apple credit card came out and everybody jumped on the bandwagon. I had a really strong feeling that the Apple credit card was going to be a good credit card for beginners and entry level and anybody that was just a fan of Apple because it was backed by Goldman Sachs. So as the Apple card progressed, it's gotten better features, it's gotten better. And now Capital One has really stepped it up. So let's get into it. One of the main reasons why I had a hard time really believing in Capital One was because their secured credit cards, listen, if you have a bad relationship with Capital One, they actually let people come back. But the problem is when they do these secured credit cards, they never unsecure them. There's never any really strong data points. Like they're sticking to their ground. They're gonna do this. Like if you look at the Discover It credit card, the Discover It secured credit card is one of the best secured credit cards because it will graduate eventually as long as you use it right, you don't carry balance, and you pay it off every month. With Capital One, they stopped doing that and then they went back. They stopped doing it and then they went back. They just been really flip-flopping, so it kind of built trust issues with them because I have a lot of clients that, I used to recommend to Capital One to rebuild with, but I had to stop because I don't want my clients' money, whether it be $200 or $500, be locked in a credit card forever. That's not what a secured credit card is supposed to be like. So I stopped pushing Capital One as much because of this, because it's like, come on, man, either you're going to call it a secured card and it's secured forever, just say it's secured forever. Don't give people the hope that it's going to unsecure and it's eventually going to, turn into a different card. And a lot of times what happens is a lot of these secured credit cards don't upgrade. A lot of times it's because people don't know how to use them properly, but we've seen too many mixed data points. That's my problem. So I kind of steered away from the Venture X credit card, but they've really improved it and they're really working hard. They really want to topple the big credit cards out there like the American Express Platinum and the American Express Gold card. They really want to go after that. They're going after the #1 spot. You better believe this. All right, so let's get into it. So I've been waiting a long time. People always ask me, why won't you review this credit card, Mike? Why you say it sucks? I never said it sucked. I just said I didn't want to talk about it. I'm just going to keep it honest, okay? Because I want to give it an honest review. I don't just go out there jumping on bandwagons like everyone else does. I really want to bring real value to my followers and my viewers and my subscribers. So you really know that we're really going to talk about this card. We're really going to give it a real review to see if it fits you, because it may fit me, okay? I'm a big fan of Capital One and I like to travel. But my favorite thing in the whole wide world is traveling for free. If you ever see me out at an airport or in a different town besides North Carolina, because that's where we're based at, I'm traveling for free. It's very rare if I ever pay for a plane ticket. Something might have gone wrong, I don't know, but usually I'm using travel points. So it's really important for me for a credit card to have the right transfer partners, to be able to have a great ratio when you transfer to certain transfer partners, and it has to make sense and it has to stack enough points for me. Because if you have a credit card, it has to stack points. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean by the categories that it carries. I'm always going to talk about American Express cards to the day that I die because I'm a huge fan of them. But the credit card has to stack points for everyday spending. And for Americans, the biggest spend categories are going to be groceries and dining out and your regular everyday expenses. So when you have a travel credit card, you want to be able to stack those points so you can stack more points so you can travel for free more, okay? Because the more points you stack, the more opportunities you're going to have to either fly on planes for free, spend them on hotels, spend them on rental cars. Some of them even let you use your points at different Airbnbs and stuff like that. So Every credit card is going to be different, but it's important that you be able to stack enough points so you can travel at least once or twice a year for free. If you could travel like 4 to 6 times, you're really crushing it. So the Capital One Venture X is one of those cards that's going to allow you to stack more points, and this is why I'm going to review it. Always remember, last part's the most important. All right, so the Capital One Venture X comes on with a 75,000 bonus miles if you spend $4,000 on purchases in the first 3 months. Now, when you hear these numbers, a lot of people freak out. You're like, how am I going to spend $4,000 in 3 months? It's actually very simple. One, you don't need to be using your credit card to buy things that you don't need or spend on extra things that you aren't budgeted for. Very simple things like your cell phone bill, your electricity, your gas if you have to pay gas, your cable, your car insurance, gas, groceries, dining in, dining out. All those normal everyday expenses, you can hit these spend goals, okay, to get that bonus if you do your everyday spending. It's very, very simple. Another one that a lot of people don't know about is you can pay ahead on your cell phone bill because let's be honest with each other. You're usually going to stay with the same cell phone company for at least, a year to 2 years. You can pay ahead on your cell phone. You can also pay ahead on your car insurance. You can also buy Amazon gift cards, okay? Because everyone knows you're going to spend some money on Amazon. So those are some very easy ways that you can stack points and not have to do anything crazy to get yourself in trouble. There's a lot of other ways like manufactured spending. That goes really deep. I'm not going to go into that. But just doing this right here is going to help you hit those spend goals very simply and very easily. 75,000 bonus miles is going to equate to $750 in travel. Now, always remember when you're doing transferring your points with transfer partners, transferring points is the most valuable thing you could ever do. Don't ever spend your money in the portal of any credit card company unless you're 100% certain this is what you want to do, because your points will generally go farther if you transfer them to a transfer partner. That's very important and very key when you're using a travel credit card. I transfer my points all the time with all my different credit cards because I'm looking to get the best deal so I get more bang for my bonus points or my bonus miles, whatever system I'm using. Usually I always use my transfer partners, and that's why it's important that these credit card companies have good transfer partners and a lot of them so you can have a lot of options. All right, another great thing about this is you get 10x points on hotels and rental cars booked through Capital One Travel. All the time, every single one of these credit card companies are gonna run this play right here, if you book your travel through there. So always compare prices. A lot of times I find out that sometimes these portals have really good deals. So always remember 10x points for your hotels, your rental cars through Capital One Travel. That's a pretty big deal right there. Then you're gonna get 5x on flights that are booked through Capital One Travel, which is also really great because, again, they're going to offer different transfer partners, so pay attention to that. And they're going to have a lot of different airlines that they're going to have when you try to book your flights to there. But always compare prices, but 5x is pretty solid. A lot of other credit cards offer this, but it's still pretty solid deal that they offer this. Now, here's one of my favorite things. 2x on all other purchases. So that doesn't matter what it is. If it's not one of those other two categories I just talked about, you're going to get 2x points for all of your purchases, which is a big deal because very few credit cards do this. It's usually 1 point or 1 mile for every dollar spent. So this is a really great game changer and something you need to pay attention to for your everyday spending. If you haven't done it yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you find out whenever we drop new content, whenever we go live, and hit that bell notification so you find out when I go live, because you never know when I'm going to pop up live and I'm going to start talking about credit cards, credit repair, talk about everything. Always remember, link is going to be in the description for any card that I talk about, and for Dispute Like a Pro program, it's going to be in the description. And I'm also going to drop a link for the credit cards in the comments. But always remember, subscribe. All right. So also about this Capital One Venture X card, it's really important to understand it has a $395 annual fee, which is, it's pretty steep, but it's still not as steep as the Platinum American Express, okay, which I'm a fan of. So that's a pretty cool deal. It's important to understand I'm not going to ever go back and forth with anybody about annual fees, because the best credit cards out there have annual fees. There's really nothing we can do about it. It's like you have to understand the value that a credit card brings when you're traveling for free. When you do all these free travel situations, guess what? It just washes itself out. So, but one of the other really cool features is you get $300 annually if you book your flights and travel inside of the Capital One travel portal. That's just free money when you have to book a flight or a hotel. I mean, what more could you ask for? Now, another great feature is you get 10,000 bonus miles annually for just keeping the card open. I mean, that's free miles. There's not very many cards that do that. So understand that you're not going to find a top tier card that does that, all right? Now, the biggest bombshell that they dropped was they just opened up to 1,300 lounges. This was my biggest complaint about the Capital One Venture card was they don't have enough lounges. I'm like, well, how are you going to tell me this is a travel card and I can only get into one lounge? Come on, people. I mean, really, come on. So them opening up all these lounges is a huge deal. So that is the game break part that they're trying to change here, and they're continuously trying to make this card better. And that's why I'm talking about it today, because here they are. They're going to continuously make this card better. They want to compete with the big dogs. So that's one of the biggest game changers about this card. 1,300 lounges worldwide. Sorry, not nationwide, worldwide, okay? In their partner lounge network. And you're going to be able to get access to the partner lounge network, of course, through your Capital One portal, okay? Now, you're going to get a $100 credit for global entry and TSA pre-check. Yo, I cannot stress to you enough how valuable this is with any credit card that offers it, because there's nothing worse than having to stand in that TSA line. If you can go through TSA pre-check, it is a real game changer. And global entry is a huge game changer also. So that $100 credit goes a long way if you're a traveler. If you've ever been in those TSA lines, you feel that pain. I'm really curious to see if Capital One is going to offer Clear, because Clear is one of my favorite things as it starts to spread out to different airports and more venues like sports arenas and stuff. It's pretty crazy. All they gotta do is scan your retina. You're like, you don't even need your ID. It's insane. Or your fingerprint. So this is why the Capital One Venture X is trying to take over the travel world, and I'm all for it, man. So get this card. It's in the description. It's totally a great card. You need a 725 FICO 8 bank card score or higher to get approved for this, okay? You cannot have more than 4 Capital One credit cards, okay? That's the cap with Capital One. So if you have 3, this could be your 4th, but you can't have more than 4 Capital One credit cards. Ask me how I know. I know, because I have Capital One credit cards, okay? When I got declined for a Capital One, I was like, yo, what's going on? Like, why did I get declined? Yeah, sorry, sir, but you have too many cards with us. I was like, I only have 4. I didn't think it was a big deal, but apparently Capital One was like, no, it's too many, okay? So just remember that. Those are very important data points, okay? All right, so one of the very key points that we talked about earlier was transfer partners, right? So it's very important that there be a very great choice of transfer partners. The 1-to-1 transfer ratio list is pretty big. You're looking at about 16. Okay, you're looking at Aero Mexico, Aeroplan, Asia Miles, Avianca Life Miles, British Airways, Emirates, Etihad, okay, like Finnair, Flying Blue. That's just a few of them. That is on the 1-to-1 transfer partners. Now they have a 2 to 1.5 point transfer partners. That's with EVA Air Infinity, okay, and Mileage Lands. Now the 2-to-1 is one of my favorites. Okay, that is going to be all, which is Accor Live Limitless. Okay, you have to look at where these flights are going to take you. You know what countries they can get into. This is where the fun part gets really awesome. Okay, when you can travel for free in business class on a lay flat bed. That's where the bonus points come into play. When you can transfer your points into some of these transfer partners and you can travel to another country for absolutely free on a lay flat bed, that's amazing. Sometimes we've seen 40 to 75,000 miles for a one-way ticket. And this is another little secret that a lot of people don't know. If you're going to book your flight using miles, you want to book one ways, one way there and one way back. You're going to spend less points and less miles when you do it that way. If you book round trip, you're gonna burn way more points and way more miles. So always stick to that last tip right there, because that's gonna help you not burn as many points, because I've made those mistakes before, okay? And sometimes I say, you know what, I don't even care. I'm just gonna burn these miles. I just wanna book this flight and be done with it, okay? I'm not gonna play this game going back and forth with all these companies. So I just book my flight and be done, because at the end of the day, it's still free. But when you travel one way there and one way back, you're going to not burn as many points. And sometimes you can fly in business class and it's not that bad. But when you fly business class round trip, Jesus, you burn a lot of points, okay? But when you do that and you're leaving and going to another country, that's when you get the most valuable experience that you could possibly get. Always remember, subscribe to increase your credit score.